So fast forward to the 15th of September, which is Der Tag, Invasion Day. 15th of September was the date that the Germans were going to invade. And it was a hard day, and it was an extraordinary day. And I remember I flew 4 times. And there were almost 2,000 aircraft over Kent and Sussex in combat. The Germans on that day had 1,000 bombers and fighters over England, and we had roughly 600, 700 aircraft combating them. Our claim was, you've heard about it, 185 aircraft shot down, which actually turned out to be about 60 or 70. And the explanation, quite simply, is this. Most of the first attacks were at 18,000, 19,000 feet, and bombers would be streaming with fire and everything else, and then you behind them who'd done the damage would in turn be attacked by other people, and you'd lose sight of the aeroplane. And then the aircraft that you'd shot at would fly for 20, 30, 40 miles before it hit the ground, or indeed went through the channel, at which time it would be attacked 4 times by different squadrons climbing up. So the same aeroplanes would be claimed 4 times over. This is really the secret of why the claims were so high. But the important thing about that day and about the enormous losses, it quite unnerved Hitler, who postponed the invasion. And 2 days later, on the 17th, he postponed it indefinitely. So fast forward now to the 27th of September. Even though the invasion had been postponed, we still fought bitterly because of the government, and there's probably signs that through intelligence sources, they probably knew, but we were never told. So the 27th of September was a very, very bitter day, and it was a one which I lost a lot of friends on that day, and I want to tell you about 2 of them. We shot down, or the enemy, about 133 enemy bombers were supposedly destroyed. In fact, only 60 or 70 were admitted by the Germans. But I want to tell you about 2 of my friends whom I liked and greatly missed. One was a fellow called Burton, Percy Burton, from South Africa. He was the son, he was a very educated young man. He was studying for law at Oxford. And he was the son of quite a high minister in the South African government. Delightful, small, retiring. And he was attacking a Messerschmitt 110 fighter. And the aeroplane dived to the ground from 15,000 feet with Percy Burton in pursuit. And eventually, with the exchange of fire, he was very seriously wounded. He got bullets in the stomach, apparently, and he feared he was going to die. His ammunition had run out, and he determined to sell his life dearly. So he rammed the German aircraft in front of him, knocked off its tail, and all 3 aircraft plunged to the ground, killing everybody. The people on the ground, the villagers, were so impressed by the man's courage and fortitude, and realizing that not only did he shoot the aircraft down, or at least knock the aircraft down, but had been desperately wounded. For a long time, they collected witnesses and statements, and they recommended through the authorities that Percy Burton should be awarded a Victoria Cross. But nothing happened. We didn't hear anything about it until March the following year, about 5, 6 months later. Then we heard that Percy had been awarded a mention in dispatches. Now, you get a mention in dispatches for cleaning the airplane. We were so much upset about that. And years later, I spoke to a person who was concerned with it. That is, he'd been in the office, which such things are determined. And I said, why wasn't this brave and courageous man given a higher decoration? He said, well, you know, boy, he said, it is a bit of, you know, protocol and all that. And, you know, it really was very difficult for us because, you see, we didn't feel that we could award 2 Victoria Crosses to the same squadron within 3 weeks of each other. And we were so appalled, and to this day, I feel that poor Percy Burton was robbed of the most wonderful military award, and getting only a mention in dispatches. He is buried in the south of England now. The other is a good friend of mine, Bryan Meaker, from the Southern Island, from Cork. Delightful, delightful boy. And he and I were attacking the same aeroplane somewhere over what is now Gatwick. And I remember the tracer coming in my direction and me ducking as it went over my head. My aircraft was slightly damaged, but not very much, and his aircraft was very badly damaged. And he broke away, and I had to deal with problems of my own. I force landed another aircraft. Anyway, he fell away, and we didn't hear anything about it until a couple of days later. Apparently, he bailed out, but his parachute became entangled in the tail of his aircraft. And the blazing aircraft fell 16,000 feet to the ground, pulling him with it. He died horribly. And nothing much was heard of him. But 60 years later, there suddenly appeared a little monument, a tablet, telling us exactly where he had died. That was on the 27th of September. And on the 28th of September, I remember taking off from North Weald with the squadron, and we flew down over Kent and over Sussex. And there were no bombers, no fighters, nothing at all. And we thought, my goodness me, the Battle of Britain is really over. But it wasn't, of course.